Welcome to the Koso Konnections podcast, where the ancient art of Japanese fermentation science meets modern natural health. Embark with us on a journey of transformation, exploring age-old wellness practices through inspiring discussions, expert advice, and personal stories shared by experts and our customers. Discover how these traditions can revolutionize your health and well-being today.
Hi, welcome back to another exciting episode of Koso Konnections. I'm Lei, your co-host, and with me is Ella Devar, renowned nutritionist. Hi, Ella.
Hi, Lei. So exciting to be here.
Today we have a very special episode focusing on the incredible Koso Med fermentation process. Joining us is our special guest, the informative and fermentation expert, Dr. Z. Hi, Doc.
Hi, everyone. And hi, Ella. Hi, Lei.
And we are thrilled to dive into why this fermentation process is so unique and taking over a year and the amazing health benefits that come with it. So let's get started. Ella, why don't you kick things off with our first question?
Dr. Z, we are fascinated with the quality of the products of Koso Med and particularly the process of making them. Could you please tell us more about the patented fermentation process and how that came about and what are some of the benefits of it?
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to this because when I do tours at the factory, that's all I talk about. They can't get me to shut up. But fermentation is something that is really quite unique, and we have to kind of take a few steps backward to understand the difference between someone who's fermenting in their kitchen sauerkraut or tofu. These are things that are very easy to make. They use sugar, they use salt. The process is very short. The fermentation time is very short. And a lot of people can enjoy at least somewhat the health benefits of these products. Our fermentation process, again, which is patented, and the patent really is relative to what we call live active enzymes. Fermentation helps to preserve the product, but preservation means that we don't include heat. And as we all know right now, everything that we use is heated up, cooked, overcooked. The process is so intense that I don't know that anything could survive. Can you imagine yourself being boiled in a 200-degree boiling pot of water? I don't know what it would be left of yourself. But let's go back to fermentation. Bacteria are something that are quite special. If you've ever been to a very beautiful garden, what we neglect when we look at the garden is how the garden became so beautiful. And a lot of that is relative to the universe that exists underneath that garden. And those are the bacteria that actually nourish the garden. I call those bacteria the superheroes. That's what makes everything alive. Koso Med, and especially my mentor, figured that out a long, long time ago. And he was able to harvest those special superhero bacteria in an enclave in Japan, very special place. And if you ever get a chance to come, I'd be more than happy to show you. It would be my pleasure. Those bacteria he perfected. And when I say perfected, it's been, I think, pretty close to a century of usage. In the scientific world, we call that friendly bacteria. And those friendly bacteria are really quite important because they will digest the solid foods. They'll break the foods down into very simple compounds, the carbohydrates, the proteins. All of that becomes very, very tiny. We've all heard of nanotechnology. But this is Mother Nature's nanotechnology. The smaller the solids are, the smaller the particles. And here's the key. You're able to absorb that nutrient. Okay? So without being able to absorb those nutrients, your body doesn't get fed the way it should be fed. Think about it like a Thanksgiving dinner. You eat a lot. All right? You go to sleep. You get up in the morning. What do? Right? I don't have to say it. You go to the bathroom, it's a lot, okay? The absorption rate at that point is very minimal, okay? You've ate a lot, but your body wasn't able to absorb all of that. Fermentation breaks everything down to where almost 90 to 95% of what you eat is absorbed by your body. So the process itself is the patent that we have. What the 3 points: live, absorption, and proper nutrition. And nutrition is a broad term. Probiotics, enzymes, flavonoids, all of those things are destroyed when you're cooking.
Wow, that's a lot of information, and we would love to have more details on the process, the actual process at the farm. One day we'll make it there, but before we get there, could you please tell us how the vegetables from the farms that we talked and the farmers that we talked about last time, how they get to the Koso Med facility and what happens to them during the fermentation process at the facility itself?
Last week we touched about JAS, Japanese agriculture standards, and how we grow things organically and all the different passionate love that goes into growing everything. But again, all of that would not mean very much if we were trying to do that a long distance away. For example, if I was planting something in Brazil and then doing a great job and harvesting it and then trying to send it back to the United States of America, you can't do that in a natural state. You'd have to add something to it, preservatives or something else, to bring it abroad. By the time it came to your factory, all of those nutrients, the enzymes, all of the things that make that a special product are gone. Our process is very, very easy to understand. The farms are all within a 5-mile radius of the factory. Okay, so in the morning, the farmers do their harvesting. They collect all the produce. They come directly to the factory. And there's a video that shows the process. It's a bit animated and a little bit of reality, but it does show the process where everything is basically local deliveries. So in my estimation, or in my research that I've done, we pretty much understand that within a 24-hour period of time, if you're not able to harvest and deliver to the factory, the enzymes and all the nutrients of the product are lost. And so that's what happens nowadays in our modern society. We're not getting the fruits and vegetables that we would be getting at a farm. Once that system is put into place, which our factory has done over a period of years, the farmer then brings everything to the door, and then on the spot, we start our production. So production is only as important as preservation. Remember what I just said. All of the active enzymes, all of the nutrients are now still in the product. So what do? You can't just add chemicals to it like most companies do. That's where fermentation comes in. And the moment that you add our bacteria, the moment that you start that particular process, the preservation process starts. So it's almost like delivering the natural state of the product right to you without you coming to the farm. Just to let you know, that process is what makes our company not copyable. You can't replicate it because almost 98% of all the factories around the world don't grow their merchandise around their factory. They grow it elsewhere. And so that delivery process is absolutely out of control. When you're buying ketchup in the store, you might be buying 5 different tomatoes from 5 different countries, all delivered in big semi-trucks. So you can just imagine the mishmash of what you're getting.
Here in the United States, what we teach people to eat healthier is what I say: get to know your farmer, like know where your food comes from, right? This is the easiest way to optimize your health, because this way you know exactly what you're putting into your body, right? And it's, as you just mentioned with the ketchup example, it's impossible. When it's a packaged product, it comes in this shiny, beautiful container, and you're like, that's great. Let's hope that everything that went into there is high quality, that someone cared, and someone did a good job, but you have no idea what went in there and who did their job and how. And this is why I'm so excited and proud to be part of the Koso Med, because of how the values are uncompromised at the brand, and how proud you are to talk about the farmers, each step that went into this beautiful package that we all receive in the FedEx mail.
Yeah, Ella, I call that the Scooby-Doo moment. And a lot of people that haven't seen Scooby-Doo when they were a kid, the Scooby-Doo moment is when you go into the stores and Scooby-Doo is the main character there. So the macaroni and cheese got Scooby-Doo on it. The tomato soup has got Scooby-Doo on it. And the kids walk around going, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy." But Scooby-Doo is what you're buying. You're not buying anything else. You're paying royalties and advertising dollars to Scooby-Doo. It is the reality, especially in the United States and other parts of Europe as well too. People don't buy the product; they buy the package. And so that's something that I've been fighting for, especially amongst the kids, because they're so tranced into, oh, well, this is my favorite character, so it's got to be good. But yeah, definitely different.
All right, let's go back to fermentation.
Yeah, well, you talked about those steps in the fermentation and the production process. Which of those specific steps require such a long duration?
Well, fermentation in itself is, like I said, pre-digesting the solids. And it takes approximately 1 year before you actually see a reaction that takes place. And that long period of time, maybe for most companies, is not achievable because it's a daily chore. You have to take care of the product just like you'd be taking care of a baby. Traditional Japanese methods, what I learned when I came to this country many years ago, is that is part of the culture. So taking care of, for example, if you're in Korea, they have kimchi as an example. The aunties in the villages, or even in the Philippines, the aunties will spend a lot of time daily watching it like a baby. And so the process does take long. The longer the product sits, the longer it ferments, the more nutrients, I call it the hidden treasures, they become unlocked. If you know how enzymes work, they're like a lock and a key. They fit together. So the longer the process, the more lock and keys that take place, the more is unleashed. So you might start off with something that might have 10 cofactors, vitamin K, vitamin B, vitamin C. After 6 months, they will break down and become vitamin K1, vitamin K2, vitamin K3. A year later, there might be a whole series of Bs and Ks. And at that point, the product is ready. So the process is very long, but it's well worth it because we are trying to create something that is very unique. And it's not just about probiotics, and it's not just about live active enzymes. We all understand that gut health is very important. Ella talks about it a lot. She's written about it. Gut health is vital for brain health. Brain health is vital for neurological health. Neurological health is vital for many other parts of your body. It's all related because it's like a piano. Everything is finely tuned. So to achieve all of that, you've got to get a broad range of nutrients. And that's why we take so long to process the product. We've done it so long. We've done it for so long that we understand how each ingredient, for example, a lot of people say, well, why should you eat an apple? A doctor professes for you since day one, eat an apple a day keeps the doctor away. It has 300 nutrients in it. However, 300 nutrients that are not unlocked, guess what happens the next day when you go to the bathroom? Unfortunately, you've not utilized those 300 nutrients. Fermentation allows those 300 nutrients to unlock. So when you absorb the product, guess what happens to your body? It's like your body's like a sponge. It will absorb all of it, but you have to give it the opportunity to absorb. You can't fit a circle in a square. It's got to fit perfectly.
On that topic, Dr. Z, let's continue with health benefits. I like that you just covered gut health. This is my topic and I love hearing about it. But specific to Koso Med fermentation process, you mentioned how that allows for the products to be so ultra beneficial, but I want you to cover specific different, because you have a variety of products, and are they all fermented, and what are some of the specific health benefits that people should look out for and actually use the products to solve the issues that they have?
We have 6 very unique products, from Bio-88 all the way to IQ 4+1 for health of your brain. But the most important product in that line would be Bio-88. And the reason for that is the amount of amino acids, the live active enzymes that are in the product. You can't get that in the stores. All of it is burnt. There's nothing that's alive. So without having those beneficial components, you're basically absorbing something and then the next day it's going out through your body. 88 is the product that helps your body to, how could you say, to support itself. It's not just nutrition. It's also the bacteria that I talk about. Our products are based on those two type of cofactors. It's one thing to buy vitamins and to get that nutrition, but then you're not getting the probiotics. You're not getting anything that's alive being put back into your system. As a nutritionalist, you know that every day your body burns up those bacteria, those beneficial bacteria. So what is replenishing those good bacteria? If you don't take care of it, what happens? The bad bacteria overtake your body. Our product has both. It has the good bacteria, which you need every day. You need to replenish those bacteria that are depleted from your body every day, as it would be enzymes. If you don't replenish your enzymes, and you can't get it from the foods, as you know. Leigh, unfortunately, has a lot of farm-grown products where she is, but a lot of people don't have that. They don't have those kind of products around. So that is one of our greatest benefits. As far as the other products are concerned, they're very specific. Some products like SBS, they're for detox. The gentle detox, not the stuff that you buy in the store that make you go to the bathroom. And you need that. You got to get rid of those toxins, but it's got to be done in a gentle way. It's got to be done daily. You can't go through at the expense of doing something really quick, because as you know, if you diet too quick, what happens? You rebound. The other products we can get into, because we're going to have a lot of other episodes, we can get into it because it takes time to get into the next line and the next line. But generally speaking, the Bio 88 is our fundamental product. I'm going to stop here and you're going to say, well, what about the protein? Yes, yeah, the protein is. But the protein does not have the beneficial bacteria count that Bio 88 has. So if you're taking both at the same time, you're getting double the effect.
So, and how does the extended fermentation period enhance these benefits compared to shorter fermentation processes?
Well, shorter fermentation products like tofu or miso, or they're very short term, or even some soups that you make, you do have health benefits. But again, the longer the product has a chance to be devoured, to be digested, the more the treasures are released from it. It's like anything else that sits around for a long period of time. Sooner or later, it's going to break down into smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller particles. And those smaller particles are much easier for your body to absorb. It's just like a baby. You don't feed babies solid steaks. You got to break everything down for them so that they can digest it. And humans are the same way. When you're younger, you might be able to eat really solid, hard foods, but as you get older, your stomach just doesn't have the amount of juices or the amount of enzymes to help you digest. So you're going to have to start to pre-digest your food so it's easier for you to absorb things. So length is very important in the fermentation process. Again, this is something that we do. I don't know of many other companies that actually do this. It's very difficult to spend 2 years to make a product. It really is.
Dr. Z, I do have a question about, once the product is fermented, right? The last step of, what is it called? Is it dehydration? How do you get it in such a impact, capsule or the tablet or the powder? And what happens during that process?
Well, dehydration is a process that takes that length of time. And so when we reach a certain level, in other words, when the water is evaporated, the products then are then made into the actual physical product. It's done naturally, and that's it's the main reason why it takes so long. We have to let the water evaporate. And the process generally takes about a year. Sometimes it might take a little bit longer. Our facility is, air conditioned and all of that. But even with all of that technology that we have, it's a process, and it's done every day. It's the mixing of the product and allowing the product. It's very similar. It's very similar to making soup. if you allow the soup to sit for a very long period of time, pretty soon everything kind of becomes more of a solid, less watery consistency. In a kitchen, that might be one day. In a big environment, that takes up to 2 years to make. Once we have the solid material, then we go ahead, and the pills are very small. In contrary to the pills that you see in the United States, I refer to them as horse pills. They're quite large, and the American market really loves to get the big pills. But as I know, most of those big pills are not consistent of a quality. They're usually cornstarch or dextrin or another kind of a filler. And so we don't do that. That's why our pills, a lot of people, when they first get our product, they go, I got to take 12 pills a day. And they panic because they think that 12 pills is what those big horse pills are, but they're not. They're very tiny. And we did that on purpose because even here in Japan, a lot of people will not be able to digest such a large pill. It's almost impossible, even for myself. When I buy the products in the United States, it's hard for me to digest. They're quite large.
So when these incredible farm products are being fermented, what are some of the nutritional benefits? You mentioned probiotics and enzymes. What about, like you mentioned, flavonoids? Could you talk about more about the fiber, antioxidants, and flavonoids?
All of what you mentioned, I call it the whole degree. All of that is in a product that's organically grown. All the flavonoids, all of the enzymes, all of the proper nutrition, the vitamins, the minerals, the content are in really good grown products. The issue here is what happens to that product. And so when you go into preservation, which is fermentation, all of that remains in place. However, when you ferment that particular product over a period of time, you unlock the other treasures that are hidden within that nutrition. Like I said, vitamin B is an entire array of vitamins. And so you've got to give it time for it to unleash. And it naturally will become a product of itself.
No, in terms of nutrients, I know that's why I personally love Koso Med products, because on the package and the ingredient list, it's all vegetables, right? And it's so fascinating because a lot of people's like, wait, this is a whole bag? Like, how do you fit all these vegetables, over 100 different vegetables you fit into a product, right? And that's why the fermentation education around fermentation process is so important, how it gets in there, but also the nutrients. American consumer used to seeing anything that looks like a capsule or a powder. They're used to seeing like a list of nutrients, which you guys don't put. There's no like vitamin K, vitamin B, right? So in terms of nutrients density of the product, do you have anything to say about that more?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's two sides to this business, and one is a nutritional product, which is a natural product, and natural products don't necessarily put 0.55 mc vitamin C. When you're talking about a supplement product, because it's a chemical, by other rules, you have to put in how much supplement you're putting into the product. So even though it might have a high degree of vitamin C or vitamin D or vitamin B, these are supplement chemicals. And so they have to be categorized that way. When you're buying fruits and vegetables, no matter where you are, one apple has 300 nutrients. So you can't really isolate on those particular nutrients and say what that particular product is on the label. But our product is 100% natural. So when you're buying a banana or you're buying an apple, you're really not just buying the nutrient, you're buying the quality of the product itself. It's like picking out fruits and vegetables in a store. There's no label on it. A strawberry doesn't describe how many content of nutrients there are in it. But you do want to buy the best strawberry. You do know that particular strawberry is going to have 100 or 200 different ingredients that are in it. Our products are 100% natural, so it's very difficult for us to divide that and go, okay, well, this has 2 contents of vitamin C, or this has 1 content of vitamin D. We grow based on the content of our product. And so that's where JAS comes into effect, and that's where preservation comes into effect. And we are a food product. And a lot of people get a little bit confused because they go, well, I'm taking dietary supplement. We're not a dietary supplement. We're a fermented food product. I'll add something else, Ella, too, because I get this question all the time. Well, people say, well, I'm taking this product and it has so many calories in it and it has so many. Nobody really calculates how many calories there are, and nobody really ascertains. What they do is they go by a regulation that is set out in the marketplace, and there's the label. And there's where a lot of the dietary supplement companies get into trouble, because they're putting extraordinary amounts of vitamin C or vitamin D, and they're not supposed to. Preservatives are the same way. A lot of these companies are not following the regulations. And I don't want to get into the name of the companies, but they do that because for them to ship things overseas, they can't go by that guideline. They have to do something to make it look and preserve it all the way. That's the beauty of our product. Once we add our bacteria to the product, it destroys any kind of spoilage bacteria. They can't survive in our bacteria. Our bacteria are the soldiers. So we can basically send our products anywhere in the world and never have to worry about it being spoiled. It keeps on fermenting. It's alive. And as long as the bacteria are still alive, they thrust out all the bad bacteria. It's the same thing they do in your body. The moment they enter your body, that's what they do. They attack. They're the soldiers, the superheroes. They attack.
Yeah, that's a lot of information, but I'm sure that fermentation process really does do wonders to the nutritional content of Koso Med products. And so we want to know, how does Koso Med fermentation compare to other traditional Japanese fermentation methods?
Traditional fermentation, anybody who's a cook is a fermenter. When you make soups at home, you're fermenting. You're adding salt. You're adding sugar. You're giving it taste. And most people would know that if they wait one more day, it tastes better. You realize that? It tastes better. A steak that you saute, what are you sauteing? It's fermentation. You're breaking the solids down so that you can eat that steak. And in that process, it's going to become softer if you do it right. So I would say that most cooks are fermenters. But the science, the technology behind that is very basic, because you're not testing it day by day. You're not giving it a length of time. You're not removing the water. And I just want to address Ella and also Lei. When you talk about the products that are in the marketplace, most of the products in the marketplace are liquid. And I don't need to mention them by name. There's some very famous probiotic products out there. You're buying 99% water. Vegetables, fruits, for the most part, are water. Koso Med removes the water. You don't need the water. It's not necessary. You need the solids. You need the nutrients. That is the patent that we have. That's our process. This is what I learned here in Japan, and it took me a while to put the technology behind it. But once I understood that liquids are basically water, which you need, but water doesn't have much content to it, then we realized that let's get rid of the water and concentrate on the solids, because that's where the nutrition is.
Nutritionally speaking, it's like a grape and a raisin, right? So the difference is when you remove the water, it becomes more nutrients dense, right? It's much more sweeter. And that's what I love, like this, what we could explain and use this metaphor for Koso Med products, that it's so nutritionally dense because of the water, and that's what makes it a medicine versus even though it's vegetables products that are fermented.
Yeah, I mean, 100 years ago or 200 years ago, or maybe 60 years ago, we didn't have refrigerators. So how did we cope with everything? And quite frankly, if it wasn't for those really different diseases that were pretty prevalent during that period of time, people lived pretty healthy and they lived really strong. The Roman soldiers carried, 60 pounds of backpacks on there. They trotted for 50 miles and all they ate all day long was dehydrated foods.
Well, the argument there is, in longevity, in America, the argument they lived healthy but not too long. Now the people are focused on more the length of life. That everyone wants to live to 100 years old, and that's why we do this.
Well, there were things prevalent in that society. Certain viruses and other pandemics that took place that wiped out major population. It wasn't just because they were 50 years old, and there were other things that took place. We don't talk about it because it's not necessary. We're talking about our own pandemic. But yeah, there are things that have occurred on a major scale. The bubonic plague was enormously 150 million people, almost half of the population disappeared during the bubonic plague. But in reference to the way people worked, I mean, if you go to a farm and you see people, how they work on a farm for 14, 15, 16 hours a day, they're very healthy because they're eating the proper foods, they're absorbing the right nutrition. And so, yeah, the point of view right now is that we are living longer, but let's look at the quality of life. I don't know if, sitting at the drive-thru at Walgreens is actually quality of life. I think exercise, I think having a good nutritionalist behind you, eating great products, getting enough protein, doing all of those things that, we all preach in the health industry is the way to live our lives. Beauty is within all of us, but we have to work at it. It's not going to come easy.
Do you please tell us more about how this patented fermentation technology came about, how it was developed, and the history of the brand before it got patented and packaged into the product?
Well, there was a period in time, like I said, before refrigeration. If you look at traditional Japanese villages, there was no refrigeration. There were no air conditioners. And in some parts of Asia, there's still no refrigerators and no air conditioning. And so preservation was the only way to survive. This particular company, going back to over a century ago, like I said, was founded on being able to preserve food with bacteria. They just didn't have the science to bring it forth and create a patent. They knew that it worked. It worked year in, year out. The villages, people are very healthy. The average lifespan is 99. If you look at some of the pictures of the village, they live up to 99 years of age, and sometimes even more. Some of the people that I know currently that have worked in the original company or their children are close to 100 years of age. So there's a test of time that took place there. It wasn't until probably the 80s that we realized that, because it's very difficult to get a patent, almost impossible, that we realized that we had something going that was really special. And when we realized that that special was keeping our product alive, we were able to go and apply for a patent. And the process itself, as you know, is quite intensive. But, that patent is what propelled our company into a whole new level. There's not many food companies in the marketplace that can achieve patents. And one of these days, when you come to Japan, you'll see there's quite a few more patents that have come lately. But yeah, it's over a period of time. This company has stood World War I, World War II, like I say, the swine flu, tsunamis. I can't even begin to express to you historically what it's passed through. And that's basically because of the product. And the product has done wonders for people in Japan. Again, when we talk about longevity, you got to think about Japan. Average age here for ladies is now 89. Average age for men is 87. And that's on the minor scale. You go to Okinawa, and what I did my research, and you're talking to their grandchildren that are 90 years old, and they're still alive. They're 108 years old. So they must be doing something right. So to me, that's the data. That's what always tells me the scientific. A lot of people have scientific research, but where's the live human being? You can't count on AI for everything. It's just, you have to be able to see a living human being, a living organism. So the patent itself was quite an achievement and something that we're very, very proud of. And so is our customers.
Well, that's incredible sharing of information, Doc. Thank you so much. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in. And thanks to Ella for asking those very intuitive questions all the time, every episode. She's with the great questions. Thank you, Ella, for being here.
Well, thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe to Koso Konnections for more fascinating discussions of health and wellness.
Stay healthy and stay connected, everyone. Love being with you all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.